Dear India, a very good evening to all of you, and as promised, we are back today with yet another episode of The Talk. Today's episode is a little bit different from our other episodes which we have done so far. You must have seen that today we have, I think, the highest number of participants in the program that we have ever had in this particular show. The reason is that we are going to discuss two very important and very pressing issues. The most important of them being the ghastly murder of journalist Gauri Lankesh. As you all must be very well aware that the investigation is still underway, but there has been a lot of blame game happening from each of the main political parties in the country. Apart from that, a lot of social media outrage as well about the entire murder. In today's show, we have with us, on my right-hand side, Professor Radhakrishna, K. Radhakrishna, the Vice President of Pradesh Congress Committee, Karnataka. I have with me the representative of Bharatiya Janata Party today, Dr. Ashwath Narayan, who happens to be an elected MLA of Malleshwaram constituency in Karnataka. Then I have the Karnataka convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, Mr. Prithvi Reddy, over here with us. Now, I'll begin with you, Professor Radhakrishna, that you've seen what happened, you've seen the entire outrage that happened on social media regarding the whole Gauri Lankesh murder. But since your party is in the government at this juncture, nothing substantial has come out so far in the investigation. In a metropolitan city like Bangalore, how do you think it reflects upon the rest of the country when people see that a metro city like this, the police is unable to solve a murder as high profile as this and as ghastly as this, where a woman is shot multiple times outside her house?
The concern of the people, the public will appreciate it. But at the same time, to say that nothing substantial happens also may not be true. It may not reflect the facts. What happens, you see? Murders take place. Most of the murders take place instinctively for wealth, for issues concerned, material issues concerned. There are murderers planned, coolly executed, very neatly implemented, planned. We call it political murders. Or the murder of a thought process. Somebody's thought. Why do you murder? You murder somebody because you would like to murder that particular thought process. And in such murders, in such issues, world over, I'm not talking only about India, the world over, the investigative agencies take a lot of time because there will be several angles. At the same time, you look at now, whether it's Pansare, whether it's Dabolkar, whether it's Kalburgi or Gauri. Now, in India, what happened to the investigative, because there will be definitely, though I don't say, there is a political angle too for that. I would not jump into the conclusion about the political parties. When I say political, the political thought process is involved, intolerance, etc., etc. And therefore, when it is so executed, the police agency would not jump into any conclusion. There will not be emotional or color about these investigations. The investigation in Karnataka is going on. Take for example, Dabolkar and Pansar. What happened at the time of Gauri Lankesh murder? The reaction of the society at large, beginning with Pansar and Dabolkar and ending with Gauri, the reaction was intense. Even in social media, the public, the media, it is intense. Because it speaks about a particular thing the society is moving towards, or should not move towards. Should not move towards. And therefore, the murderers, they are very intelligent murderers. Very easily I can say if BJP is in power, if they don't do it for a political mileage, I can say they are not doing anything. Or Congress is in power, they can say they are not doing anything. But things are being done.
So on the point which you mentioned, I'll just grab you on that one. You mentioned that it would be wrong to color it in any possible way, and police has not jumped to conclusions, and police should not ideally. But then your party, right from the central top leadership to the state level leaders of your party, did somehow manage to color the entire thing right from the beginning of the murder on social media, in the press, somehow hinting towards a right-wing link to this murder. Now, how would you defend that then?
Political reaction about.
Right.
It's not coloring, I would like to tell you. The responsible people in our party would not have spoken like that. They have not spoken like that. Now, what we say, why these murders take place? I'm not talking right wing, left wing, etc., etc. I'm not done with the conclusion. The right or the left, the murders take place, I mentioned, because of a thought process need to be prevented. The thought process is to be murder.
And what thought process would that
Thought
be?
process means suppose somebody is left-oriented person and very outspoken like Gauri.
Right.
Very, very outspoken like Gauri. Bold like Gauri. Well, should be silenced. I would not even support anybody taking the knife or the gun and killing somebody who opposes me, even if they belong to the right-wing thinking. I will not support it. I will not support it. I will not like it. But it is definitely being done like that. But here what happened, you can see. There are cases in Karnataka. Two youngsters, very innocent youngsters, one in Shivajinagar and one in Vantwal murder. But what could happen? The police could catch some people. They could catch some people. It may not be conclusive. They could catch some people. But here it's much deeper. The whole thing is much deeper, much more planned. My party or my leaders, it's not coloring, hinting, nobody. But we spoke, yes. Spoke what? About a thought process. The entire country today, all of us would agree that we are pursuing hate politics.
But in this case, but in a murder case, as ghastly as this, why are we playing politics on this? I'll just let the BJP respond to this.
One
Yes.
second.
Yeah.
It's not politics, it's a reaction. There's a difference between them. The reaction. I said that when
It is a reaction which is ideally politicized in this entire matter.
that anything in society gets politicized. Now, Dabolkar to Gauri, the reaction, the intensity, I said, Dabolkar to Gauri. That intensity, that reaction, is the reaction of the entire social system. And therefore, I would not say we have hinted somebody, etc., etc. It's not like that. Not really. We said, yeah, because of a thought process generated by you or by somebody, the entire atmosphere, social ambience became vitiated or polluted. Me talking like that, is different from pointing out somebody. No.
Right. BJP.
Basically, we condemn the death of the Gauri Lankesh death, and Bharatiya Janata Party, we heard the government responsible, the state government responsible for the status of the law and order. The life is not being protected. Somehow the government is trying to escape from the responsibility, and not only in this incident. For the past 4.5 years, the state government has failed completely to maintain the law and order with regard to all the issues. Let it be theft, let it be sexual abuse, with regard to the chain snatching, or all the murders, and even the political murders of our party workers. With regard to all the issues, the government has completely failed, and the government is trying to appease some of the anti-national forces, and they have withdrawn the cases against the PFI and SDPI. And by their openly encouraging, the entire government machinery is trying to encourage this kind of anti-national activists, which they are very well known across all the other states. Even other states, they've been involved in a lot of anti-national activity. If you look at here, my friend is telling that the Congress party, it was his reaction to give a political color. Being a they respond with due responsibility. The people who are ruling here, their party president is making vice president is making a statement that BJP and all the affiliated to organization, they are responsible for the death of Gauri. Is it a way to make statement, irresponsible statement? It is really surprising to see this kind of irresponsible statement being given by a responsible person in the Congress. I think it's right time they should own up why the death happened. We are not interested in any of this. We actually condemn the death of this kind of political murder or whatever murder or their own personal rivalry, whatever it might be. We totally condemn this incident.
I'll come back to you. Prithvi, how would you like to respond to these two?
Firstly, there is a complete failure on behalf of the Congress. It's taken them, I understand, an investigation takes time, and only the investigation will reveal who the real person behind the murder was, right? But it's taken them 2 years to find who killed Professor Kalburgi. Apart from that, I think there was enough indication that people like Gauri Lankesh faced a threat. And it is for the government. I don't think an individual needs to go up to the government and says, look, I'm threatened. It was there for everyone to see. What is important to note is that Gauri Lankesh's death was only a symptom. It was symptomatic of the real disease. The real disease is that over the past few years, the hate politics, the divisive politics that has been practiced at the center is dividing society, is not allowing people to express views, and we have seen that Gauri Lankesh's murder is not the only whether the left wing was responsible or right wing was responsible is not the real problem. I mean, when you go to a doctor with a fever, the fever is the symptom. The disease could be a much larger ailment, and I believe the ailment is the divisive politics. I think we must also acknowledge the fact that an MLA, the Sringeri MLA of the BJP, actually said on a public platform that Gauri Lankesh would have been alive if she hadn't spoken about the RSS. So it's not about politicizing it, it's about calling a spade a spade. Now, let the investigations go on. I believe the Congress owes it to the people of Karnataka to find who was really behind it. But you can't deny the fact that even an ailing UR Anantmurthy was threatened by the BJP just before he passed away. Yogesh Master earlier this year in Davangere, on a occasion of celebrating Mr. Lankesh's birth anniversary, he was attacked by the ABVP. His face was painted with black oil. How can someone like Gauri Lankesh not be provided protection? So I think we must call a spade a spade. There has been a failure in law and order. This could have been prevented. And as far as the indicators go, I'm talking not about this murder, but I'm saying what led to this kind of an incident is what I'm referring to.
Right, Professor Radhakrishna.
Partly I would agree with Prithvi, but not fully with Ashwath Narayan, my friend. I have a reason for that. Now, I would say first, Gauri being given protection. The government should have imagined and thought of giving protection. Gauri was a person, her father was my beloved teacher who trained us, groomed us. Now, Gauri was the person who said that I should not be, she always made fun of people surrounded by guns. She never liked it. She always opposed it.
So that doesn't mean the state government.
But the state government could not imagine that threat. Many times what happens, the state government also, I would not say it's a failure on the part of the state government.
Right.
Now coming to my friend, when my vice president said the BJP divisive politics, who can deny that? Let me tell you.
But why to politicize the murder like that?
No. He made a statement BJP is responsible for the death of Gauri.
I would also say that with responsibility, because I would say Look at the incident that has taken place for the last 2-3 years. Muzaffarnagar maybe, or maybe in a fridge there is some meat which is not beef, Maybe another gentleman who was who bought a cow and was taken to Tamil Nadu being lynched. Now you understand. This type of provocations, I would not hold the Prime Minister responsible, but the thought process, I'm sorry, the ambience created out of that. And today, all of us should agree, must agree, for the last 4 years, it's a hate campaign. If I don't like you, either buy or bury. This is the policy. Now in this policy, I tell you, it's not good for anybody. It's not good even for BJP. You are riding a tiger. A tiger ride is not, it looks very fascinating for the public. But now to say irresponsible, the government has not provided security. Look at the whole thing. In Maharashtra,
my good friend, we are not here to hear the stories here. We are just debating from the entire subject. We are talking about the Karnataka. We are talking about the Karnataka government. The Karnataka government, why it has withdrawn the cases against the PFI and SDPI. You talk about it. You are talking about only the 4 years of hate campaign. You mean to say 4 years hate campaign just because the Congress is in power. We are talking about the nationalism, and we are not here for any hate campaign. We are for every citizen. Any incident,
disagree.
My good friend Mr. Prithvi, you are making Mr. Prithvi, you are making Mr. Prithvi, with regard to BJP MLA, Mr. Jivraj, you made a.
I listened to
the entire statement made by Mr. Jivraj is not against anything. Gauri,
all he said was if Gauri had not spoken about against the RSS and the BJP should have been alive.
If you look at that statement,
for me, that's a confession.
he has condemned the death. He has condemned whoever is responsible for her death. And
sir, for me, that seems like a confession.
For you should
it's up to the police to investigate. For me, that's a confession.
See, police investigation, we are open for the investigation. Let them investigate. We are not questioning their investigation. Even before the investigation, the Chief Minister is making a statement, being a responsible person. How can he make an allegation against any particular, even before the investigation is completed? And Congress National Vice President is making a statement. Is it the way responsibility behave for any political party or a Chief Minister being the head of the state is behaving irresponsibly, and he should be held responsible for the death of Gauri if he would have got any information with regard to the threat to the Mr. Prithvi, or you made a statement, there was a threat to Gauri. If the threat was there, what was the government doing? And they don't know who is given the threat. Why are they not arrested them? Who has given them the threat? We can't kill anybody. We are racist. They are free to make their own opinion.
Before you respond,
1 second.
Right.
We raise our voice and shout when we have no defense.
Right. That is what. Since you don't have anything, why can't you talk about the cases withdrawn?
When we have no defense.
PFI and DPI.
That's not my. I don't belong. Ice cream journalism. Ice cream.
Not ice cream. Your government has withdrawn the cases in the cabinet. That is cream, ice cream, everything is there.
This is not ice cream journalism. This is ice cream politics. I would just like to and before you respond to that, quickly I would just like to remind our viewers right now that we are in conversation with Professor Radhakrishna from the Congress Party in Karnataka, Dr. Ashwath Narayan from the Bharatiya Janata Party Karnataka, and the Aam Aadmi Party convener from Karnataka, Mr. Prithvi Reddy. And we are discussing the politicizing of Gauri Lankesh murder and the Karnataka politics. Now I'll come back to you and let you respond to what Dr. here had to say.
Now his contention seems to be attacking my Vice President of the party.
Chief Minister also.
Chief Minister.
Even before investigation is completed.
Okay, Chief Minister, Congress, Chief Minister, Home Minister, Congress Party, everybody, let's say. But I would like to respond. These murders take place because I told you from Dabolkar to Gauri there is a connection. Now these murders take place, as I told you, process of intolerance to a particular thought, particular thinking.
Have these been the only murders of this one ideology? What about the other murders of RSS?
More than 20 people have been murdered.
In Karnataka. But you have to be...
In Kerala. I want to be fair. fair.
Yes, you have to be fair there. You can't only mention these three murders.
Among the 20 murders.
And conveniently ignore the others.
No, I will not. Any human life is as sacred as anything else.
Right.
Now, 20 murders, out of 20 murders, how many political murders? No, even one political murder. Sharat Pandwal, I have every belief to say that it's a political murder. I would say Rudresh murder is a political murder. I would agree with that.
What about Raju's murder?
Please. I didn't interfere when I said,
Yeah.
Ashwath, this is not a TV channel, we are discussing. Now, other murders, many of them, these 20, I'm very sorry to speak like that. I should not speak. Even one human life is very important. One murder was done by the sister, another murder within themselves, another was a property issue. But these 20 murders should not have taken place, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Why silence, reaction, etc. But whatever it is, let us confess and accept that these murders are the result of a hate politics.
I'll give you a
Hate and
I'll give you an
division,
example.
divisive politics.
All the political parties.
Hate and divisive politics. Politics works on action and reaction at times. Many times.
Even with regard to one matter, I just want to intervene. Even with regard to the Rudresh murder, the state police were not able to nab the culprits. It was NIA. They were able to find out, they were able to investigate, they fixed the case. No, they were all the people who found out, investigated, and they were able to fix the cases. And the people who were responsible, the PFI and SDPI, you are not addressing that issue. So now, even before the investigation is complete,
I need one minute of a classic example. Sir, just one minute. I need one example.
Prithvi,
Any murder is a murder and should be condemned.
Absolutely.
Let's get that right first. Number two, even if a person belongs to the left wing, the right wing, RSS, it does not matter. It needs to be condemned in the strongest of words. But what I do not understand, why is the BJP spokesperson talking about the SDPI and the PFI? Are they the only people responsible for political murders? Why can't we make a blanket statement that anybody who is responsible for such ghastly murders, the issue should not be treated as a crime, it should be treated as an act of terror. Because my belief, very strong belief, is that the people behind such murders, whether irrespective of who it is, their intent is to spread fear and terror. And I believe that the laws against terrorism are much more stronger, and I believe any such acts, whether it is someone from my party, whether it's from BJP or the Congress, why don't you pass a law that all such murders will be treated nothing short of act of terror? It does not matter which party. And I think we should all jointly condemn. It does not matter who it is, all of them need to be
I will
condemned.
definitely endorse that. It's an act of terror only. If this is not an act of terror, what is an act of terror? This is an act of terror. I would definitely accept that. But at the same time, I am afraid that this nationalism has become a difficult word today. That I and you, us and they. Nationalism is everybody's, in everybody's DNA. How can you say that I am more nationalist than somebody else is? I don't declare my nationalism in my mouth. I declare my nationalism, it's embedded in my heart. I don't make it as a tool of my empowerment for political purposes. It is in me. And now bringing a cleavage in the entire society, telling, I am more nationalist, tell me you are nationalist or not, who is anti-national, etc. The nation wants to know who is a nationalist, etc., is feudal arrogance. Now that feudal arrogance will not be tolerated by anybody, naturally it becomes reactionary. And therefore, that also becomes part of hate politics. Now, that also becomes. And all of us, with hundreds and thousands of languages and cultures and things like that, years together we live together. Now, for the last few years, the country is facing a, I would say, dilemma, that each one every day should ask, am I a nationalist or not?
No.
Am I a nationalist? Oh, yes, I am a nationalist. This type of conforming
When we are talking about the-
is an insult to humanity, and I am coming to that. This also has generated, triggered some sort of hate politics in the innocent minds. Oh, you consider, oh, he is not nationalist. I am a nationalist. Therefore, let me be angry. Now, the responsible leadership at the top has a greater responsibility, what we call Rajadharma. I quote Vajpayee. Rajadharma is different from any other dharma. And I quote Vajpayee. Now, therefore, I would say the entire society got afflicted with this type of color, I said, skewed emotions. And every day I have to declare if I belong to a particular group, particular color, particular language, etc., etc. And then if I say, yes, my country for the last 4 years is suffering from divisive and hate atmosphere, and if it has resulted in this type of intolerances, what is wrong? Is it not? Not only my vice president, the reputed editors of the newspapers, the public figures, a great economist, Nobel laureates, all of them are today telling that the society, they speak about all the political parties. All the political, you don't have a party. But they say, look here, the society is not moving on the right path.
Here I disagree with Doctor.
Yeah.
I just need a minute.
Sure.
I think the Indian society is the most tolerant society. So when we use intolerance as a word, we should understand the BJP, while they got a large number of seats in the parliament, what they got was 31% vote share. Out of the 31% vote share, I believe a large majority of people voted for development, for jobs, for the Achede. I don't think people voted for such divisive politics. We must also understand that it's a handful of people. If you look at the social media campaign that was run after Gaudi's death, where there's a celebrating, there is a machine where people sit and reproduce these kind of tweets to give you a perception that society at large is in this way. I believe Indians have always respected diversity. I believe Indians largely want to live in peace, harmony and brotherhood. And I think that it's a matter of time before anyone who tries to divide India will see it sooner than later that people are going to reject it.
Now, on this note, I believe everybody here will agree today that Gauri Lankesh's murder was heavily politicized by all political parties, every political party, be it the Congress, be it the BJP, be it the Aam Aadmi Party, right? I've seen leaders from the Aam Aadmi Party protesting in Delhi, protesting here, from the Congress protesting here, BJP separately having their own agenda going on this entire thing. But was she the only journalist who was murdered since 2014 till now? No, she was not. It was a high-profile case, and everybody was very conveniently saw an opportunity, be it the Aam Aadmi Party or the Congress especially, saw an opportunity over here and accept the journalist, her own fraternity, all of us, when we were protesting against the entire ghastly murder, the BJP, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party joined in the entire protest scheme, right? Now, what about the other journalists who were killed? Why were you never there? Why is it that these two political parties, I'll come to BJP later, why is it that these two political parties very conveniently embark upon tragedy tourism, as we call it, and then, be it any other case about a Dalit murder or something else, you guys very conveniently go there. Same happened in the case of Gauri Lankesh. Why not the other journalists who were killed since 2014 on?
Let us understand the psyche of our society too. The immediate reaction, if a child is assaulted, sexually assaulted in school, a child, when the child is attacked, the reaction is severe. When a Dalit is attacked, thousands of years they have suffered. The reaction will be, with the conscientious people, it becomes severe, including with media. A journalist, a woman is attacked. I told you that history is there. Vyapam you take. You take that Vyapam scandal in Madhya Pradesh. A journalist dies there. I don't say he was killed. Mysteriously he dies. There was a reaction. But the society also reacts So many murders took place. When Gauri's murder took place, society, I was a part of the society. Suddenly society said, no, this cannot happen. Now it is not highly politicized, heavily politicized in your words. It is heavily it became societally conscious. It's not politics alone, the entire society. Added to that, as Prithvi said, the social media. In the social media, there may be a small group, what you call perverted people. But the perversion is the result of what? The sickness is the result of what? The sickness and the perversion is the result of a social process we are undergoing now, a difficult process. Now that the people saw in the social media celebration of, I'm not going to condemn now anybody, with Juraj, a very conscientious MLA. What is that? Gauri said, for Hindu Dharma there is no father and mother. In Kannada you speak. If I speak in Sanskrit, I say it's Apaurusheya. All religions believe they are not created by a father or a mother. In a colloquial language, it is different. If you go to my temples in the villages, how in a particular folk worship the goddess, sometimes they condemn the goddess. They shout at the goddess. Now this is the process. Now to make it very big, if you are large-hearted, would say Hinduism is Apaurusheya. It is revealed. Islam is revealed. Christianity is revealed. All of us believe that it's revealed, that we have a divinity in that. That is how also it could be thought. But my mind, which is tuned and fixed and polluted in a particular atmosphere, it says, no, you are talking about my ill of my religion. Oh no. Now who created that atmosphere? Who educated that? Who educated that? Now the education is not in the classrooms, etc., etc. The social education. Now this mobile has become in Purana, there is a story called Brahma Kapala, stuck in the hands of Shiva. Likewise, everybody will see. And what interests me more is a troll. It's a very, even if I dislike that particular thing, I read it. This is a human psyche. And Gauri, the reaction against Gauri's murder, I would not say, it's a simplification of the event to say, I tell you, we should not simplify that. It is an event when the society reacted and said, thus far, the police investigation, punishment is secondary. It's very important, it's secondary. But the society at one voice said, many conscientious, even BJP friends said, thus far, no, it's not possible. Now, her death becomes that spirited voice. I would not say simply that it's heavily politicized and Aam Aadmi Party or BJP. BJP was defensive and me, my party became very suddenly, it's not like that.
Dr. Ashwath Narayan, how would you respond?
You asked the question of both of us. You gave him an opportunity to respond to this particular question. But politicizing. Firstly, let's stop making politics a bad word. Politics is the essence of a democracy. So I think as the media, we should not use politicize like a bad word. I think we are supposed to represent people, and we will continue to represent the voices.
Absolutely.
As far as your question...
As long as these issues are not negatively...
I agree. The question regarding the number of journalists who... I think you also need to understand that there is something called the tipping point. And I believe that everyone has a certain amount of elasticity after which it breaks. Every murder, like I have already said, needs to be condemned. Also, what happens is that in a high-profile murder like this, the amount of media coverage is much higher, which causes more people, creates much more awareness, and awakens people a lot more. On a lot of issues, whether it's petrol rise or the failure of the Congress government over here in farmer suicide, we have protested. The question is, how much steam did a protest like that? So that is not in our hand. If something is wrong, we will protest. The third and the last thing I believe is that we must be conscious that as parties that are responsible without playing to vote banks. We need to condemn anything that is wrong, and we should not play to vote banks, because I believe for a long time the Congress has appeased certain sections. And as a consequence of that, I believe you can go to a minority in this country and tell them that if you vote for so-and-so, they will kill you. Why don't you say you have as much right in this country and that I will stand up for you anytime there is a threat? Why can't it be a relationship of love? Why does it have to be a relationship of fear? So I believe any political party should not play or cater to vote banks, because largely you're destroying unity in our country. You're hurting the diversity, you're hurting respect for human respect. And I think that consciousness all across parties we need to have.
Is that the agenda you're going to be taking forth in the upcoming elections?
It's always been our agenda.
Right.
It's always
And now, Dr. Ashwath Narayan, how would you like to respond to all of these things happening? Both of the leaders over here have been speaking, but you didn't get a chance this time.
Basically, see, they are not reflecting the real facts. Even with regard to when the Tipu celebration was happening in the Madikeri, Mr. Kuttappa was murdered. And initially, the government made a statement that he fell on his own while trying to run away from the police. Even before the post-mortem report could come, the government, the responsibility, Chief Minister and the Home Minister made a statement that he died trying to run away from the police. He jumped from the bridge and he died. It was more of some kind of accidental death. But later on, once the post-mortem report was there, it was declared it was a murder. And this murder happened even before the celebration could happen. There were a lot of people from Kerala. They all came to Madikeri for the preparation, and they were anticipating this kind of problem. They wanted to show their strength, that you can't play around, you can't express your sentiments or feelings. If this is the way the government has been run, and they're not even aware, the people from Kerala, thousands and thousands of people have come for that event. And after coming to the event, they flexed their muscle and they were chasing and hitting the people in the Madikeri. This is one incident. Even with regard to all the other murders, they'll just make noise. Aam Aadmi or any party, Congress, when the murder has happened with regard to any innocent death has happened, any person, any political death has happened, why they didn't protest during that period? Why they lost their voice? If some political work, let it be irrespective of any party, any death of any political work, since he's having so much of respect for the politics, he was talking about the word politics should not be misused. Any politician, any worker for that matter, he is having one spirit to do good for this society. He is working in one particular way. But it doesn't mean you can just kill him, kill his voice. And he's only talking about the political murder. Even before the investigation is complete, he's making a statement that it's a political murder. How can he make a statement that it's a political murder? Here is the cases where we are making a statement, it is a political murder, where the people who belong to a particular organization, with a proof, it has been proved that they are the people who have done this political murder. Even then, those people are being appeased, and the cases against them been, all this time he was only talking about the stories. He never addressed the point why the government withdrew the case against these organizations. Why they are not taking action against this organization even after all this withdrawal of cases. With regard to the murder of Mr. Radhakrishna, it was proved by NIA that these people are involved.
Right.
And it's a real threat for the country's security. And even in many other places, they've been repeating the same thing. And with regard to all other aspects, the system, even if you look at this nation was created basically, why the partition happened? You tell me why the partition happened.
So
why the partition happened? Why the partition happened? And why? And if you look at the population, the Hindus population in Pakistan, what was the population before the partition and what's the population now? If you look at the population in the number of deaths or whatever political murders, if you look at any kind of numbers, if you look at, it's exceptional incidents. It has happened. We all share a relationship. We all live together as in a brotherhood, and we, as in a country, we all are together. Only with regard to this kind of vote politics being played by the various political parties trying to divide the society, just try to, without performance. See, as my up friend Prithvi pointed out, we were voted, BJP was voted to bring in development, and that was the main reason with the hope of.
Let's speak about Karnataka.
Yeah, Karnataka. Since they went around across the nation, sir. They went around the nation, sir. I wanted them to speak only about Karnataka. They didn't want to speak. They went around the nation and they came back here. So we are pointing out to even the local issue. The Chief Minister has completely failed to protect the life and the law and order, and he's trying to play around here. They play around, and he has never acted in neutral. Though there's a large section of people who don't expect the government to be siding and appeasement.
Now, quickly coming to the topic of the Karnataka politics, since we have entered that domain now, the Bharatiya Janata Party has created lakhs of WhatsApp groups, and that's your plan to go social media intensive and technology intensive in the upcoming elections. What are your thoughts on that? What are the plans?
So basically, we are trying to organize and strengthen our party in the grassroots level. In each booth, we are trying to build our team. What are the resources available, and who are our supporters, and know other people, party supporters also, why they have been supporting other parties and why not BJP. And we are trying to understand the real situation and how best to mobilize the entire electorate and see that how we can take forward, and we're exposing the failures of the Congress government. Imagine the 4.5 years performance with regard to the drought management, farmers issue, or with regard to the education, health, all aspects, infrastructure, corruption. It's known as number one corrupt administration now. Number one corrupt state now.
Not now,
so, now number one corrupt, it has been ranked by the various agencies.
Earlier, Karnataka was not so very different at the same time as well.
Sir, there was some problem. We do agree. There was some problem. We never say that. For that reason, we were removed, and they voted out, and they gave the opportunity to Congress. The Congress made a statement. It's a wage of war against the corruption, and they were the people. Yeah, they were the strength of the powers of the Lokayukta has been removed, and they have created parallel agency ACB. And they throw ACB, how they are chanting, and they are trying to protect themselves. And the cases been registered against their own chief minister or ministers is not been investigated. They are just buying the time. Right. And at the same time, chanting other people and trying to misuse the entire ACB. And with regard to even the officers of their own administration, right, they have been, the money has been recovered from their respective houses and offices, and they've been booked in various corruption charges. And with regard to the dairy case, Blue Blood Watch, and even the Arkavati level, 950 in the history of Karnataka, that kind of numbers, 950 acres been denotified, that is the highest number of acres been denotified, this government in the name of redo, and they've been totally practicing corrupt practices and completely
how does the Congress party respond to such an IT intensive campaign and process? How do you respond to that? What is your plan?
I was with a good friend of mine, a very senior journalist, who is not very well disposed to Congress. But he is not a friend of BJP either. I just said that, we need to do a lot of things in social media in Congress party. Then he said, why are you defensive like this? He said, because till Modi and Amit Shah got themselves into the politics, changed the entire complexion of Indian politics, till then, politics had no enmity between each other. Election was not considered a war. It was considered a game. And therefore, they are well equipped with the technological tool. Why are you defensive? He said immediately. Not only Congress, all non-BJP parties. Now what we have done? There are 224 constituencies, and altogether, I think we have got 58,000 plus booths. We are also a match. Now we have done it. Out of 58,000 plus booths, about 56,000 booths, I won't say 100%. We also have created in each booth WhatsApp groups. we also have done. Now, speaking about what we have done, well, it's the duty of the opposition BJP to tell you have done nothing, Mr. Congress, they have to tell us. They have to tell us. And we also tell them. But at the same time, they also know, we also know what we have done.
Right. On that note, coming to the Aam Aadmi Party, what is your IT strategy and social media strategy to counter the BJP and the Congress over here in the state?
It's very strange that the political discourse has been reduced to WhatsApp groups. And you have people saying that per booth I have this many WhatsApp groups. Why are we not addressing real issues? I think the political debate, the political discourse needs to be about corruption. Rightly, Mr. Ashwath Narayan said that Karnataka today has the infamous tag of being the most corrupt state in the country. A garden city is now a garbage city.
That was
There is, yes.
No,
So I'm just saying,
in terms of
I'm just
infrastructure,
I'm talking about issues, farmer distress, education, healthcare. I believe these are the real issues. And to tell you very honestly, you can fool some people for some of the time, not all the people all the time. I have traveled extensively in Karnataka over the past 3 months, and I can tell you from a kind of finger on the pulse that Karnataka wants change. Unfortunately, thus far, change meant once the Congress, once the BJP, once the JDS with the Congress or the JDS with the BJP, this was because of a lack of alternative. I believe that Karnataka is ready for an alternate, and this could be a watershed election. I think people are not reading the fact that the Congress who were voted into power, not because they were the Congress, but because of the Lokayukta institution, they destroyed the institution of Lokayukta. Over a period of a few months, I was arrested and detained for almost 20 days, protesting against the then Lokayukta. What has happened is, today the discussion will always be about, yes, you had this many corrupt ministers. During the BJP time, you can make a list of people who were arrested or had charges against them. The Congress will turn around and say, well, you know, we don't have those kind of charges. It's because you removed the very institution that was supposed to charge you in the first place. And now you have an institution which reports directly to you, and we don't expect much from that. Right. Having said that, I believe that this election is going to be quite different from conventional politics. I believe that the BJP was largely resting on the hope that they will win or they will do well in Karnataka because of the Modi factor. The past couple of months have been showing that people's expectations of the BJP are slowly being destroyed. We have seen the disaster of demonetization. We have seen how badly the GST has been happening. We've been seeing how the price of fuel, petrol and diesel, absolutely unreasonable. At the same time, people do recognize the fact that the Congress is not the Congress of before. I believe the Congress in Karnataka largely revolves around Mr. Siddaramaiah, who is a grassroots politician, a person who has a feel for what Karnataka wants. But people have not missed the fact that over the past 4.5 years, that the Congress party in Karnataka has not only funded the party in Karnataka, but has collected money for the entire country, the Congress elections everywhere around the country, because this is the single largest state. So I think the state has suffered, I think the people of Karnataka has suffered, and I believe they are ready for an alternative.
All right, thank you very much everyone. On this note, I would just like to conclude today's program. We have already run out of time, and this debate was supposed to be for 30 minutes. I think we have way crossed that limit. Everybody got a chance to speak their mind and speak whatever they deem as facts and as truth. Now, today we discussed two very important issues. One, we touched upon the Karnataka politics, but the most important issue, the most sensitive issue which we discussed today was the Gauri Lankesh matter. We can only hope and sincerely hope the government of Karnataka is really able to push the police department in the right direction so that the perpetrators of this ghastly crime are brought to the book and these terrorists are thrown behind bars and allowing the law take its own course. About Karnataka's politics, you have heard these political leaders speaking whatever they had to say. The people of Karnataka will eventually decide whatever is best for them. And for now, please allow us to take leave. Do take good care of yourselves. We will see you again next time with another episode of The Talk. Till then, take good care.